OFB versus N9, you already know it's gonna get wicked. UK ain't nothing to play with, man. But anyway, we hopping straight into it, man. Make sure you sub up, bro. Hit that sub button. Make sure you like the video. Appreciate y'all. Let's hop into it.
OFB stands for Original Farm Boys. The farm is a reference to the notorious Broadwater Farm Estate, which is based in the N17 postal code. In the 80s, this was one of London's most dangerous estates. And for decades now, gangs have been a well-documented part of life on this estate. This includes the Tottenham Mandem, an infamous crew of Tottenham-based Gs who were being extensively investigated by London's Met Police for decades. Specifically, Operation Trident.
I ain't gonna lie, Tottenham Mandem sound hard, bro.
The Met Police's specialised unit aiming to tackle gun crime in the black community. But some people might argue that while trying to tackle gun crime in the community, the Met Police maybe committed a few gun crimes of their own. As Tottenham resident and alleged member of the Tottenham Mandem, Mark Duggan, was named by this unit as one of Europe's most dangerous criminals, a few years after the police shot dead an unarmed Mark Duggan in 2011 after receiving intelligence that—
Bro, they gunned down Mark Duggan without him even being armed. Bro, the police be getting away with the wildest ish, bro. Facts.
He was in possession of a weapon.
The funeral of a black man shot by the police might imply many things. The police insist Mark Duggan was armed and a direct threat before they shot him in the chest. His family say he was killed in cold blood.
Mark Duggan's murder by the police was followed by days of community unrest / intense rioting as the police refused to accept what they'd done to the community, even sending out a sneaky copper to read a pre-written statement to explain why the killing was supposedly okay, while surrounded by angry members of the public screaming that they're a bunch of murderers.
No officer steps out at the start of the day to run an operation that results in someone dying.
Anywho, setting aside the tragic case of Mark Duggan, as the years went by, many different street crews would emerge and lay claim to the territory in Broadwater Farm and the surrounding Tottenham areas, with several crews like Bloodline and Star Gang emerging who would use the colour red to identify themselves, shaping themselves around the American Blood Gang despite having no official affiliation with them. And this is something that rappers from this area continue to do to this day, with Band OK's recent summer smash Slide being notable for its extensive use of the Blood's red paisley. Anywho, in the late noughties—
Yeah, so, I mean, how does that even work? The fact that y'all don't have blood and Crip and all of that stuff, but y'all still bang colors. Is the color symbolizing the hood, or is they actually adopting the U.S. gang culture, taking it and making it their own, but still rep, like, they call themselves the Bloods and they red, you know what I'm saying? So do they still keep that affiliation?
and early 2010s, some of the people that had been involved with gangs on these estates started to form their own musical movements. Initially, there was the North Star music group in the noughties, and then the next generation of Tottenham-based rappers represented under the Star Gang. And this is where infamous drill rappers Heady One and RV come into the picture, repping Star Gang heavy in their early work, which is why you'll see their starish branding on a lot of their early projects and mixtape cover arts. But this was before UK drill was even a thing, and back in the 2010s, Heady, RV and the other OFB pioneers were doing what's called road rap, a subgenre of British gangster rap where UK rappers would rap over American beats, spitting facts about the gritty realities of life on the streets where they're from. Problem is, the booming UK drill sound that everyone around the world can't get enough of hadn't been invented then. So Heady One wouldn't truly flourish as a rapper for many years, because his time doing road rap with the Star Gang would be cut short when he was caught in 2014 with a—
Wouldn't road rap probably be the same thing as drill? But the only thing is y'all just rapping drill shit like the tough streets of the UK, but y'all rapping on American beats. So that could have still been considered, that was the first era drill then.
Over 30,000 pounds of smack and crack. This left Heady One being sentenced to a 13-month stint in jail, but while he was away, another Broadwater Farm rap legend emerged. The deep-voiced driller that some people call the original Pop Smoke, Abracadabra, would pick up the mic and start rapping, releasing his hit song Robbery. This track would get an all-star UK remix from British rap legends Krept and Conan, with that remix sitting today at a healthy 26 million views, with Abra evolving beyond the Star Gang moniker that had been popular on the Broadwater estate before, forming the new musical crew Unto Nation. But this was 2016, and around this time UK drill was just beginning to find its signature sound, and things would go to the next level musically in 2017 2017 when Heady One was released from jail. Reuniting with his day one homie RV, beginning to drop back-to-back drill bangers and freestyles under the collective name OFB, and the 2017 Tim Westwood OFB Crib Session freestyle set would introduce fans to a whole raft of rapping OFB members, many of whom would go on to drop classic songs of their own right. This includes people like Low Key and Kush, and waiting in the wings was a lineup of elite teenage drill rappers, just waiting for their opportunity to jump on the mic too, and eventually the world would be introduced to the OFB youngers.
Hold on. Now thinking of it, was Mark Bandicay's dad? Because Bandicay's dad got killed, and they said he had a weapon. Was that Bandicay's dad?
People like Boogie B, Bando K, who was actually Mark Duggan's son, Double L's.
Hey, bow, right there, man. Come on, man. I've been doing UK too long, man. I really feel like a road boy over there.
And SJ. I mean, I swear, I don't know how they keep finding rappers on this estate. It's like Pokemon Gold.
Facts.
I'm out here trying to catch them all. And as time went on, we would see more and more OFB rappers introduced to the public conversation. Ispop, Desi, Trapo, Brads, DSAV, Axe. I mean, I'm sorry if I've forgotten any of you, but there really is a lot of OFB rappers. And
OFB, bro, is deep. Look at this lineup. You got Abra, Hitty, RV, Bandicay, Double L's, Trapo, decent, bro. There's niggas on that side. Ispot, SJ,
Sav, Axe. I mean, I'm sorry if I've forgotten any of you, but there really is a lot of OFB rappers. And I know that some of the ops like to say OFB has too much rappers, but when they're all this talented, I say hell, keep them coming. But interestingly enough, OFB aren't the only tough guys around Tottenham, as historically, they have been linked to another terrifying group in the area known as NPK, or the Northumberland Park Killers. NPK are a crew hailing from Northumberland Park and around Park Lane. The area they're from seems the same Tottenham N17 postcode as OFB, with Northumberland Park train station only about 10 minutes away from Broadwater Farm on Ped, but another difference with NPK is that they rock purple bandanas instead of red, distinguishing them from the blood-inspired sets in nearby areas. But don't get the colour difference twisted. This group has a long heritage of association with the Red Bandana Tottenham crews. Formerly being considered a part of the Tottenham Mandem crew back in the day, eventually NPK branched off and started their own group, and just like Back and Not Nice, NPK really did live up to their name back in the day. It's been said that NPK-based affiliates in the Tottenham area had something to do with the 2007 murder of Gary Guthrie outside of a nightclub, and they had a vicious early beef with Edmonton-based group the Shank Stars, with the beef getting so out of hand several members were put behind bars in the late noughties, but we're going to get into that feud in detail shortly. What's really important,
calling yourself the Shank Stars is crazy. I ain't gonna cap to you.
Important to know is that just like OFB, the younger generations of rappers that rep NPK would go on to release drill music, with the most notable crew emerging from this area rapping under the name Sin Squad, with their most high profile rappers being GP aka Gunner Pumps, KK, LR, Bully B, Unks, Tugger, who is actually SJ's half brother, Stewie, M-Loose, Sneaks, Shems, Trills, and OSAV.
The craziest thing is, I knew damn near everybody in OFB. I don't know not one person on here. I don't know one person on here.
Close to OFB rappers growing up, and as we'll see as the story goes on, they would end up riding together on more than just tracks, with a murder carried out by members of both OFB and NPK, leading to a bitter split between the former group of friends, a feud which will get very ugly indeed. But before we move on to the next section, I also just want to say that there's another crew called AP from Enfield, aka Skengfield, with Ordnance Road being a prominent street in this area, and if you listen to music by rappers from Wood Green or Edmonton, you might hear them dissing this area in their music. And you might also hear about a group called TPL, which is Turnpike Lane, another separate crew who tend to have beef with OFB, and do have some pretty good rappers as part of their lineup, but for the sake of simplicity, we're not really going to get into AP, TPL, or any other crews in this video, just so it's easier to understand. Anywho, now you know about OFB and NPK, the red and purple rocking crews from Tottenham, it's time to find out about their sworn enemies who we will be focusing on in this video, a couple of crews who come together under the colour green to wage war on anybody from Tottenham. Also around 10 minutes away from Broadwater Farm is an area called Wood Green, and the gang that historically runs things in this area is known as MOB, or Money Over Bitches. The Wood Green mob are based in the N22.
MOB, the classic. Anybody still rocking with MOB, I still fuck with you, bro. Facts. That's a classic right there. Everybody swore there was money over biddies back in the day. Everybody. Even the biggest tricks too. You know what I'm saying? Money over biddies. Nigga, use a Tinder. Use a tender dick nigga, dog. I know what you is. Facts, you can't trick me out my socks, nigga.
Postcode, which is why they're also sometimes referred to as the 22 or 22 mob, or just the twos, with the important landmarks in the area being the estates around Commerce Road and the Sky City estate, a strange residential complex in the sky built on top of a Wood Green shopping mall. Wood Green is an area historically much more focused on street activity than music. Originating as the Wood Green firm in the 90s, back in the day the youths in this area were much more interested in robbing than drilling or rapping, with the 2002 Wood Green robbery crew getting hit with heavy sentences after a ruthless mugging campaign in the area, where the court was told members of the gang were willing to pull shanks for as little as £1. And apparently this crack crew of armed robbers was so good at their jobs that it was reported that street crime in the area went down by a whopping 33% after their conviction. Now, the Wood Green mob didn't originally
33% down after their conviction? Yeah, I bet it was, because they was robbing boys, y'all said, for $1.
have a feud with groups from Tottenham until the end of the mid-noughties, where a series of tit-for-tat violent clashes saw Wood Green and Tottenham members hating each other. But again, we'll get into that as the story goes on. Ultimately, the young tough guys from Wood Green were pretty fearless and weren't afraid of having beef with anyone no matter where they're from, with the Wood Green mob ending up in violent feuds with crews all over London, including AP from Enfield, 8th from Hornsey, 9th Street, and Hoxton gangs in the N1 postcode, just to name a few. Now, those feuds aren't super important to this story, but there is one big name that is going to be super relevant to what's going to go down in this video, and that name belongs to the infamous Wood Green gang member Lamps, aka Dip Dat, aka Dipper Dan, a supposedly feared member that put in a lot of work on the streets for the gang. Story goes, Lamps was a Wood Green bully with ops in Tottenham and far beyond, apparently living in fear of him pulling up on their block. And hell, if this footage is
I'd be scared of him pulling up on my block too, if he doing like this and all of that and got 2 gold teeth. Get your ass over there, partner. Wrong with you? I'm good.
anything to go by, it looked like he had the police quaking in their boots too.
Shut up, bruv. Shut up, bro. Shut up.
Now, around 25 minutes away from Wood Green, on the other side of Tottenham, is Edmonton Green. Edmonton is in the N9 postcode, with the G's from this area referring to themselves as N9 or the Niners. Not to be confused with another set of Niners over in Homerton, shout out Unknown T. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of different sets coming out of Edmonton, and much like the other crews that we've discussed in this video so far, the Niners heritage has evolved from other street gangs that ran Edmonton decades ago called the Edmonton Mandem or the Edmonton Firm. Out of this crew would emerge a younger generation of ruthless knife men who ended up with the nickname Shank Stars. Apparently these guys were so regularly using knives and shanks that the entire area of Edmonton was even referred to as Shanktown because people were so scared of knife crime in the area. And affiliates of the group who rapped even released early music under the banner of Shank Stars. But in the modern day, the most significant crews coming out of Edmonton represent N9. But more importantly, N9 also spawned arguably the biggest UK drill artist to ever come out of this country, Tion Wayne, who was road rapping back with his N9
I ain't know Tion Wayne was N9. That's crazy.
homie Caution all the way back in 2010, with Tion just beginning to make waves in the British rap scene in the mid-2010s along with his right-hand man, Turner. Now there's a whole bunch of other 9 boys who have touched the mic on and off over the years, many of whom you can see in the 2015 N9 Tim Westwood Crib session, including people like Terminator. Another rapper that has to get an honourable mention from the area is A1 from the 9, even though he said I was going to get shot on Instagram. But in modern day drill, aside from Tion and Turner, the hottest thing coming out of Edmonton is the youngest set of drill rappers who go by the name 3x3, which if you're a true internet detective, you'll realize
I've been seeing a lot of 3x3 stuff, but I have never listened. Have I ever listened to a 3x3 song? I think I might have listened to 1 or 2. But yeah, man, put some 3x3 songs in the chat, man. I'm gonna have to check them out.
quickly adds up to 9. I bet that really keeps the cops off their tail. I mean, I'm trying to gangbang, not have a maths test. Anyway, there's a handful of 3x3 rappers who are making a lot of noise recently, particularly E1, another green bandana rocking rapper who seemingly has zero fear of the police.
Keep it stepping, keep it stepping, keep it stepping. Get block, get the block. I want you in that vehicle now, now.
Mate, if you come in, you can't
get in there. Oi, open that door.
Then of course there's ZT, the self-proclaimed CSS chest shot specialist, because you know, he'll shank you in the chest. Now 3x3 and the 9 have other rappers that are affiliated with the area, and apologies to anyone from Edmonton who didn't get a mention, but you know how it goes, there's too many names. So let's take a closer look at some of the events that caused the decades-long deadly war between Tottenham and Edmonton. So the war between Tottenham and the Greens has been going on for literally decades. And as a result of the violence spilling out on the streets, the feud is very well known to the police.
What we do know is there is a long-standing and very violent feud between gangs in Wood Green and a rival gang in the Tottenham area.
However, recently with the rise of social media and the popularity of drill music, people on the internet have never been so desperate to find out what's actually going on in the streets between these two warring groups. Many scoreboard videos are floating around the internet, claiming to detail the many shootings and stabbings that have gone down between specific members of these groups, usually based on rumours from internet forums, but this isn't that kind of video. Instead today, we're going to be taking an overall look at all of the most serious incidents in these areas that at least made it to the news or social media, following along how the war on the street ended up spawning several rappers from each area who would go on to give detail about the beef in the streets in lyrics of their music. Now, much like we've discussed in videos about the deadly gang wars in Chicago and Jacksonville in the past, this beef started as simply as just teenagers from these two different areas having after-school fistfights back in the early noughties, with these fistfights eventually escalating to knife fights, and unfortunately from there it didn't take long for firearms to enter the mix, and soon the clashes between these two groups would become deadly. A big escalation came in 2005 when an NPK member was attacked and stabbed by 4 shank stars at a Texaco gas station, being left with serious injuries. This led to numerous mass brawls and tit-for-tat violence in the area, and so while the NPK and the Edmonton shank stars are warring, so too are Tottenham Star Gang warring with the Wood Green mob. In fact, it was reported that around 20 violent incidents where weapons were used took place between Wood Green and Tottenham in an 8-week period in early 2005. This included the shooting of a 17-year-old on Broadwater Farm, 3 shootings in one day in April, and a hit and run on Wood Green High Road that ended up injuring an innocent 8-year-old. With these back and forths leading up to another incident in 2005 where this beef reached deadly new heights. As on May the 1st, 2005, 22-year-old Andre Linton from Tottenham is shot dead at close range after his car was surrounded by 6 youths in Wood Green. Somebody involved in the incident was identified as Jermaine Campbell, who courts were told was a member of Wood Green mob. In fact, the very same person had actually been sentenced to 3 years back in 2002 for being part of that notorious Wood Green mugging squad. And after being found guilty of the murder, he would end up being sentenced to 25 years in prison. Apparently showing no remorse to the very end, coldly taunting his victims in court, winking and making shooting hand gestures towards them from the dock. It's no surprise then that retaliations were seen in the area, with Get Back getting deadly on the 28th of October 2006, when a Wood Green mob affiliate named Jerome Vassell was shot in the head outside of a Wood Green community centre, a shooting which left him brain damaged and paralysed, with it taking over a year for him to succumb to his injuries and eventually pass away. 8 people were arrested in this incident, but none were charged. At this point, the streets were super hot and the beef between these areas was getting serious. And at a certain point, an alliance forms between the Wood Green mob and the Edmonton Shank Stars. And so, stylized in green, Wood Green to Edmonton Green would become known collectively as Green City, with green bandanas signifying alliances between sets that operate in these areas. Suddenly their beef with the crews in Tottenham throwing up the red bandanas and NPK rocking purple was looking like some real Bloods and Crips shit, or Grove Street versus the Ballers, actually, if you think about it. In 2007 and 2008, the beef only intensified with more bloody battles between these two groups taking place. This included another mass brawl outside of a Texaco again, of all places. I swear drill rappers are sponsored by petrol stations or something. Anywho, with so much crime and violence spilling into the streets, the battle between Tottenham and Edmonton would eventually reach the police's radar, especially in November 2007, when a massive street fight took place between members of NPK and Shank Stars, where numerous people were left with stab injuries, and the court being told that those responsible went on to rap about the crimes in songs. In the end, the police used DNA evidence to slap heavy sentences on members from both sides, and the increased police attention that was placed on the groups around this time definitely had the block hot for a couple of years. And as these years went by, new generations of tough guys emerged from the same areas, eventually inheriting the beef from their elders, and repeating the cycles of violence seen by previous generations. Mass brawls and stabbings in Wood Green continued through 2008, and with police vowing to put a stop to the violence, cops were trying out new techniques of calming things down, including banning people from their own areas to try and stop violence being committed. In fact, the guy from this article who was banned from Wood Green was another early rapper called G Money. Again, this was back in 2009, when UK rap that was about street goings on was referred to as road rap, and at this point there was way less money or clout in the rap game than there would be later when the UK drill scene had flourished. In fact, around this time, many of the young men associated with these areas begun to dabble with music, releasing road raps of their own. Tion Wayne from the 9 was dropping songs, and the future OFB pioneers like Heady One and RV were dropping Wood Green disses recorded on their block. But it would be nearly 10 years before rappers from both of these areas would be considered greats. And in that time, there would be an insane amount of bloodshed, as individuals would end up being killed on both sides of this this beef, and with details about the goings-on in the dangerous underworld of North London eventually finding its way into those road raps.
That boy Trap LaRosse be doing some, I mean, I be thinking he be doing digging whenever it's like US people. Whenever it's some UK, he know everything. Hey, that boy Trap go crazy with it. That was definitely informal. I didn't know a lot of N9 members until this actual video for real. I did know, like I said, a lot of OFB members. I mean, it was a cool video, definitely informal. It is what it is. OFB is super overpowered. It just seemed like no matter what, they just always got a new dude just blowing up out of nowhere. There's another crew over there that's like that. OFB, and it might be OFB. I thought it was one other crew over there like that where they got so many of the top niggas, and then as soon as one leave, the next one just pull up. You like, yo, where he come from? Type shit. But man, let me know what y'all think about that joint in the comments. I'm about to get up out of here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, bro. Hit that sub button, like the video, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.